How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to Unorthodox Savings. So today's video, I'm talking about taxes. So to save you guys time, I'm leaving a bookmark around the middle of the video where in the first half, I'm talking about people who are self-employed, and the second half, I'm talking about people who are employed. And the difference is just getting taxes taken out of your paycheck or not. And this is just to save everybody time. So if you're self-employed or unemployed, or you basically are a freelancer, you don't get taxes taken out from a paycheck every single week from a boss, then that half's for you. And now if you do have taxes taken out of your paycheck every week, then the second half of the video is for you. So this is probably the most important video I'm going to make. And the reason why is because I have actual steps you're going to save thousands or make thousands on your taxes, and this is not clickbait. This is nothing like that, I promise you. So just so you guys know, I'm not a tax professional, I'm not an accountant of any kind, so do not take my advice as professional advice. Please go see a professional. But I have spent my free time reading these documents because I live in the East Coast and I'm snowed in. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to tell you what self-employed means, because a lot of people, especially younger people, have a hard time understanding if they are self-employed or they're employed by somebody. So if you own your own business, you're a freelancer, you're a handyman who does like side jobs, just like accepting cash or like written checks from people, or if you're a barber that's working on the table, you're a waitress or waiter, basically where you're not on somebody's payroll and you're not getting taxes taken out every week or every paycheck you're getting. That means that you are self-employed. All right, so the first tip is before 2020 ends, you have to do this before January 1st. You can file for 10 sick days on your taxes if you are self-employed, and you can get $5,110 just for doing this. Now, I know that was a big one to drop. You can fact check me, you can go on Google, you can ask professional. I'm not lying about that one. I had to read 30 pages to figure that out off a tax document, and it was really boring. So number 2 is put money aside, or make sure you budget accordingly for your taxes if you're self-employed. The reason why is because when an employed person gets their taxes taken out each pay period, they have Social Security, Medicare, state, and federal taxes getting taken out each time they make money, while you guys aren't. Now, a real way to actually save money on that is, instead of just keeping your money in a bank account or investing it and like risking how much money you have, is pay your taxes a little bit each month. And the professional term is called an estimated tax payment. And what this does is, when you pay this each time you get paid, or every month, or however you feel like paying it, it gets rid of penalty and fees, instead of when taxes are due and you get one lump fee. So whatever you owe for that year, you have to pay it right then and there, or you do payment plans. This gets rid of any penalties, any fees, and it's a real way to save money, and a lot of people don't even know that's a thing. The next tip is actually a question I have been asked by a lot of people, and that is, if you're self-employed, how do you file for taxes? Now, that is a serious question that I am not qualified to answer, so please see a professional on that, but I'm going to answer that the best I can. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. So basically, when you're self-employed and you file for taxes, an employed person will receive a W-2 on their taxable wages income, and that's how they file it. They get this form. Now, you guys will get a 1099, and it will come in one of two ways: as a 1099 MISC, like MISC, or a 1099K. Now, I can make a whole video on just those two things alone. Even though they are very, very similar, there's a lot of small things that interchange with them. So some of you will get those forms, but some people don't get forms at all, right? And there is a way you can file your taxes without stressing too much or having to go call people and request forms. So you get what's called a 1040, which is for your individual income taxes. You can find or create one on websites like TurboTax and popular sites like that. And once you're filling out your 1040, you're gonna have a column called a Schedule C. And you'll see it's a big bold letters that says Schedule C. And you fill out whatever income you made on there. And then also your tax deductions. Your tax deductions are any expenses that are related to your job. So if you're a barber, anything that you paid to help your business out. If you own a convenience store, any liabilities or anything like that you have in the business, you can use a lot of those as a tax write-off. Now, that does go down the rabbit hole, which is why I really do think a professional in this instance is very, very important to have. But to keep it summarized and tell you what you need to know, you take the income, the deductions, subtract each other, you get a number, and that's how you save a lot of money on your taxes if you haven't received a form or anything like that. This next tip is super random, but you can rent your home to yourself or to your business, like in your business's name, for 14 days. Now, as far as self-employed people specifically, those are all the tips I have for you. But if you continue watching, I have more tax credits and tax deductions that still apply to you guys. So seriously, I really recommend you watch the rest of the video. You will not regret it. Now, for my people who are employed watching this and my self-employed people who are still watching, because there are actual credits and deductions that still apply to them and you guys. And the first one is if you have a child, you can claim up to $10,000 as a paid family leave due to the coronavirus. The reason why you're earning this much money in the first place is because of remote learning. So specifically if your child's home and he or she is learning on the computer, doing things like that, you have to take off for work, etc., you can get $10,000 for all that stress, all that headache. And a lot of people don't know about that. I'm using that as the first one is because a lot of people are struggling, and I just want to do my best to get the word out there. So the next tip is if you're single making under $38,000 a year, or if you're making $48,750 a year with a dependent claimed on your taxes, or if you're married and you have $65,000 or less a year as a combined income, then there's a certain tax break called the Savers Credit. It's literally called that, the Savers Credit. So when you file your taxes, look it up, it'll tell you how to apply. You apply it in there, and obviously it's going to vary based on your income and your circumstances, which is why I'm not giving you an exact number of how much you can get credited back. The next tip is if you put money into your retirement account. If you're single, you can get credited up to $1,000, and if you file jointly with your partner, you can get credited up to $2,000. Things that qualify are a 401k, a IRA, a 457, or a 403b. I can't believe I was able to memorize all those numbers. And yeah, if you put money into any of those accounts, you can credit up to $1,000, which is a nice tax rate, especially if you ended up losing any money in your stocks and things like that. Now, the next tip is if you are single making less than $52,400 or married making $104,800 and you guys are invested into the stock market, you can save a lot of money on taxes for your stocks. So how it works is if you hold a stock longer than a year, you naturally get a tax break called long-term capital gains. A lot of investors know this, that's not news. But how you save money this year specifically on stocks is if any stock held longer than a year that you sell will have 0% long-term capital gains tax on that stock. So where I'm getting at is if you guys are making more than $52,400 or $104,800 the following year, like if you're predicted to make more than that, then in some instances it may make sense to sell those profits now and not pay taxes on those if that's what suits your needs. So next tip, I had to go a little bit deep to find this one. So apparently in the previous years, if you donated to a charity, not everyone was qualified for a tax break. This year, everyone is. So if you've donated to a charity and you have proof that you have donated or a receipt, apply that when you file for your taxes so you can get everything squared away and save some money. Also, there's a new rule this year called stock loss harvesting. So any money you have lost on a stock, you can file for in your taxes and get a lot of money back. A lot of famous YouTubers such as Graham Stephan and Andre Drake have made videos about this and how they are selling certain stocks that they made losses on to kind of balance out the taxes they're getting taxed at for things they made a huge profit on, and then vice versa. So the next tip, I would have a professional by your side. The reason why is because they will know exactly what to say to the IRS. So the IRS is calling you, trying to penalize you for filing your taxes late, for underpayments or paying your taxes late, like not paying enough on time. Then you can use what's called the first time penalty waiver. Now you can do this by either calling the IRS or writing an unprofessional letter to them, and you can tell them, hey, like I messed up, this is my first time, blah, blah, blah. This is very simplified, but they will waive any fees or things like that for you, and you can save a lot of money instead of letting them just bully you and tell you what to do. Also, if you've already done this, so it's not your first time calling them, writing a letter, you can still do this. You know, life happens. So if you call them because this year you've had depression or mental problems, a death in the family, a tragedy, you just didn't feel like doing your taxes, you can call them and still make a plea and tell them, hey, like, can I get forgiven on this or that? And they'll simply tell you yes or no, and it's that easy. So for my last tip, this is really important for people who are making $40,000 a year or less. Now, if you are employed or you are self-employed, this is still very important. So there is a new tax credit called the income tax credit. And what this is the government is basically crediting you up to $3,000 just for working. So this is gonna sound a little bit messed up, but this is how they think. So basically, they want to give people money no matter what their circumstances, as long as they're making less than $40,000 a year. They just want to give them money kind of as a contribution or a credit for whatever, just saying like, hey, you're trying. Like, you're trying to get yourself out of whatever situation you're in. You're trying to make more. And now, in a devious way, it's just because the more money you make, the more taxes they get. So they know exactly what they're doing, but there's a sweet zone where you can really play this system. So a lot of people who make less than $40,000 a year, they don't want to file for taxes that year or anything like that. And I'm telling you now that you really should. And the reason why is you can deduct enough things from your taxes where you're basically paying nothing, and then apply this tax credit alone with no other tips I gave you, and you can make way more money than you thought you could. Now the sweet zone for this is to apply deductions. So you're in between $15,000 and $25,000 a year. And if you have kids, the more the better. You are closer to reaching $3,000. So it's up to $3,000. But it's a really good tax credit. A lot of people don't know about it. It's because a lot of people in this income range are younger, or they're working multiple part-time jobs or any situation like that, and they don't have the time to be reading tax papers like I am because I'm a weirdo. So that's all I have for you guys today. If I helped you out, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe. I really do appreciate the support. If you have any questions, comment down below. I'll be more than happy to answer. I have a few affiliate links down below if you want to get started investing today and started investing to the stock market or crypto. Links are down below. Also, Morning Brew, which is not an affiliate link. I just really like them. Those are for people who are looking to do more research on the news and stock market. That is also down there below. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time.